Welcome. You've got emo stuff. Saturdays on Planet Radio
106.7
with Hunter deBlanc.
What the fuck is up, Denny's? I am here with Boys Like Girls at When We Were Young 2025. Guys, how are you doing? We all knew we got our nutrition now. We all proteined up. So good.
I don't have a mic, so I'm going to borrow yours if that's okay. You were so patient. I appreciate that. I was like, I don't eat before the show, and I'm ravenous, so you sat there and waited while you watched me eat a steak.
Brother, I've been following your stories and the updates with the Jonas Brothers and everything, and the amount of discipline that you put into the fasting and everything, there's something so impressive about it, and also very rock star at the same time, brother. You're towing the line, and it has gone back to when I met you guys, and we actually partied on Bourbon Street. I say partied, but you had the discipline back then, too. You know, you were like, I'm not smoking. What year is this? 2007. You guys were on tour with the Audition, and there was no discipline.
Zero discipline.
You were not taking shots that night, and you were not smoking.
You are ever doing cocaine? He was lying.
Well, then you
That's
hit
what
it.
you think.
Then you, on the surface,
Speedballing it with fucking synthetic Xanax bars.
Jesus Christ, brother, you held it together so well. I was like, this man is a
You've been
beacon of
duped,
fucking
sir.
sobriety. He's not smoking. He's taking care of his
15 years sober now, but not in 07.
different times, right?
In Mania.
Well, guys, can you tell me about, so the festival's called When We Were Young. Who were some of the influences that you had when your formative years when you were younger?
I was really pretty keen on musical theater. So, yeah, I don't know that you can hear it in our music, but I write songs mostly in major keys. It's like this big arc, which is very like theatrical. It's interesting. I don't know that any of us were deeply influenced by the type of umbrella of like the When We Were Young type or the Warped Tour type until maybe like 2 years before we started Boys Like Girls. John and I were in two different bands that were in like sort of mp3.com pop punk space. And then we broke up both bands and started Boys Like Girls. But that was sort of like, before I joined that band, I was like, you know, doing musical theater and in a ska band called the Touchtones that just like our career goal was to like open for Real Big Fish. So I don't know, dude.
My roots are ska too. I wouldn't be playing the bass or singing without Less Than Jake.
Say,
Literally,
all my best year in Metalheads was the song that, the ska to emo, whatever you fucking call it, the pipeline it's a real thing, man. The ska kids that became emo
all
kids.
such good
punk
musicians. Ska bands are just so good at music.
It is so. There was a guy breaking down the actual musical theory behind All My Best Friends Are Metalheads. So impressive, amazing shit, great shit.
You were like in like 03. You were like a curator though. If you're in a band that had horns in it, and all of a sudden you were playing kind of like what you call the E word, like emo. It was kind of like, you can't do that, right? Like it was a different outfit. It was like checkered ties versus like, and Dickies, you know, versus like super skinny all black. It was a different
Wave, and then that term.
cross the line though. Like you cross the line, you don't go back. You don't go back to skanking.
You should.
Yeah, go back to skanking. Matt Squire, who's here, he texted me a minute ago, but I didn't have service to get him back. He did make a promise that when that first record went platinum, he would do a 5-song EP with the Touchtones for free. And I definitely know 100% that Dale and Dan are pretty keen. And Mike Lano,
Yeah.
our first tour manager,
He owes you an EP.
I think Squizzo owes us an EP.
It's time to reach out to Squire and tell him, yeah, here, did this.
I've heard a few people say they saw him around today, so.
I saw him earlier.
So, guys, what was the Jonas Brothers tour like? That must have been amazing to have such a huge audience, a big arenas and stuff, coming back from how many years hiatus? 12 years hiatus, and then coming back on the road with the Jonas Brothers. What was it like for you guys? How were they? How were they nice?
They're absolutely amazing.
amazing. I went into that, like, my thought of the Jonas Brothers is like these 10-year-old or 11-year-old boy band guys, and then we watched them play, and I watched them play every single night, and they had just, it's like hit.
They're my favorite band.
Unbelievable. What an inspiration. Like, we're so, like, blessed.
So
to be
dialed live, too.
Insane.
Like, unbelievably dialed.
Felt really good. We rehearse quite a bit and we take what we do really seriously. And it felt really refreshing and beautiful to be able to watch and study and learn. I felt like I was learning. They're vocally super impressive. The way they engage with their fans is really impressive. Also, man, the tour was a really huge opportunity for us, you know? Like, they could sell those arenas without an opener. You know, I think it got us back in front of some of more of like what you would call the normie fan. You know, like the When We Were Young ticket buyer is a little different. Like, it's really specific. They like a bunch of different bands that are sort of under the same umbrella. Jonas Brothers ticket buyer is sort of like, you know, they probably go to 2 shows a year, but they recognize some of our songs from maybe the radio, or they had a burnt CD in high school or something like that. It was a huge opportunity to be able to get in front of that person and remind them who we are, and, you know, like, maybe they only recognize 3 songs, but maybe that's enough to go back to the Spotify page or Apple Music or buy a ticket next year. And we're really grateful for that opportunity. And it felt awesome to, I don't know, their crew was really, really nice.
I heard they're top of the line.
They do.
Really good looking, too.
They did a lot to make us feel appreciated, seen, and understood. And that goes a long way, because I think that there's sort of a chain, like a long line of sort of opener abuse, right? They're like, you know, you kind of, we use the catwalk and do whatever the fuck we want, right? Like, they're like, play your show.
Yeah,
You would do your free reign. It's not always like that. So it was
they're just like not threatened.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
because they're fucking amazing.
They're fucking unbelievable. They're not threatened, and like, they don't give a shit.
Well, I'm loving seeing how they've incorporated lots of people from what you would call the scene. But my whole thing about Boys Like Girls now is the music has evolved past any of those terms at this point. I love how, and forgive me if I'm wrong, that I hear some influences from the Night Game making its way into the Boys Like Girls music, and a lot of 80s influences, man. If I'm digging that 80s flair.
You know, it's interesting. When I was doing the Night Game, people were calling it 80s. It was funny to me because I never listened to 80s music. My parents were way older. So, you know, they had me when they were 40, right? So I was listening to, like I said, I was listening to musical theater, but it was also like, you know, Simon and Garfunkel and the Traveling Wilburys and like Nancy Griffith. And it's interesting because it was way later in time, like almost like, you know, maybe when I was like 24, 25. What happened with me in the Night Game is I was like, I didn't want to chase. Like, I'd been writing songs for other people, so I was really chasing. Like, that's a very chasey.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You're playing a character. You're wearing like somebody else's like personality for the day, and then you could disconnect from it. With the Night Game, I didn't really want to do that, so I stopped listening to radio. I stopped streaming music, and I only listened to like I wasn't a vinyl guy growing up. We didn't have a CD player until way later. I was a cassette guy. So I was on Etsy buying lots of cassettes. Like, they call it a lot. Like, you get 300. It's not like a lot of them.
Like a publisher's clearinghouse deal?
A lot. Like a cassette lot.
300 is a lot.
And they'll send you 300 cassettes. I have like 4 duplicates of like, you know, like Peter Gabriel's So. You know what I mean? Like a 4 to me. It's Craig Reck. But I would listen to tapes. And maybe that found its way in because some of them were in the 1980s. I think when I hear that comment, the way, because it was funny because with the Night Game, they're like, this sounds like Roxy Music and Prefab Sprout. I was like, who's that? So, I don't know these yet. And Wang Chung, I'm like, okay, this is cool. Let me do some research.
Wang Chung is
like
sick.
These bands are tight, you know? Like, this sounds like this Australian artist, like John Farnham. And I'm like, okay,
Johnny Farnham. I spent 3 years in Australia performing, and my first week there, I played some Farnham. I'm like,
who the fuck is John Farnham? And then I'm like, you know, you watch this video and you're like, this is incredible. You're actually kind of right. This guy's got the mullet. He's doing these, like, kind of really giving a, like, you know what I think it is? There was a masculine pop energy, unapologetic, fix your car and steal your girlfriend at the same time sort of energy from men singing big melodies in major in the 1980s. And I think that kind of applies. I understand this comment with the Night Game because it's like obviously it was a side project thing and a moniker for me. But it's sort of, if you take the Chug Chugs out of our first 2 albums, they do the same fucking thing, just without a synth pad. So it's like, hey man, maybe I'm bored of playing the same 6 chords in open tuning. I need to buy a Juno. But it's, at the end of the day, dressed up a little differently, I think I could see a world where the Outfield was a Boys Like Girls song. And in the same capacity, Physical was a Night Game song. Didn't play. We tried it. We were like, guys, we're into it. It was like, let's send it. So, I don't know. I think it's like, when I think 80s.
I think that was, yeah. I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing either, too. Like, it's real musical growth happened.
When I hear 80s, though, I'm like, that's the arcing melody in major with like some turpentine and some muscle.
Yeah, and it's awesome now. It's awesome. It's a real musical growth, and I think it was, an amazing project.
But what do you guys have planned next? Are you just kind of riding the ride and seeing where it takes you next?
We're going to do some more 80s music. It's going to be the most 80s. It's going to be the most 80s.
So we're going to get a ska album as well from Boys Like...
Yeah, where's Squire? Where are you, buddy?
I could do the ska album for sure. So we formed in 2004. Our first record came out in 2006. Next year's 2026. We're announcing a tour soon. I'm really delighted about it. Really excited for going back out there, and we'll see what we end up doing on that tour. But
Hey, what year did the second record come out again?
it was late 08, 09, so it'd be 20 and 18.
Interesting.
Do what you will with that information. But guys, thank you so much for chatting with me today, man. And Boys Like Girls, when we were young, fast. Thanks for your fish take on, bro.